despite there being a good amount of adversity for a lot of these young Wizards players, I think some of them have shown some pretty good progress. Let's detail that today. Let's give an update on the rookies and the sophomores and where they compare to some of their peers.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you're locked on to the Washington Wizards, where you're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team, the Washington Wizards, every single day. Subscribe, we're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Alongside the DC Sports content creating Savannah Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, and I cover all things DC Sports for 106.7 The Fan and the Team 980. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com to get started. AB, we're 10% of the way through this regular season right here, which is crazy to think about. It seems like it's already flying by, and we've had a tough night last night, but you and I are ready to break down how some of the youth has progressed here.
Yeah, it's insane to think about, 10%, and it's probably going to feel longer, Ben, because of the amount of losses that we're going to get. But let's talk about these young guys. I'm excited, man.
Yeah, I wanted to start with Tre Johnson, and we put out a form asking for your guys' feedback recently on the show. We really appreciate everyone that took the time out of their day to fill that out, let us know how we're doing and some of the ideas you're looking to see here on the program. And you know, we don't want to be doom and gloom every single night. Last night was a little bit of a crash out, I'll admit it, from the both of us. It was tough.
From time to time, I think it's warranted, though.
Sometimes it's warranted. I felt like last night was one of those nights. But as we know, this year is about progress. It is about development. And we're always putting our guy, Tre Johnson, under the microscope just to see how he's developing, how he's being used. Do we feel like the organization has put them in kind of a disadvantageous situation a little bit here? Kind of, I would have to say, just because I feel like the Wizards are not running the offense the way that would benefit Tre Johnson the most sometimes when he's out there. His usage rate is pretty high at around 19% right now, and I know it was even higher when he was at Texas. It was kind of a backpack effort that we saw for Tre Johnson, but just wanted to take the time today to see where he falls amongst some of his peers. So last week, he was 5th on the NBA rookie ladder. This week, the new one came out. He dropped 2 spots to 7th after a couple of tough nights. But put into perspective with Tre Johnson, he's playing the 7th most minutes amongst rookies right now. Actually, check that, 6 most minutes amongst rookies, and he finds himself 7th on the ladder. So it's pretty indicative that the amount of minutes you play and the opportunities you're getting are pretty important in terms of the production you're going to get out of a rookie player, and especially one like Tre Johnson, who has some really innate skills like shooting the basketball. But we want to see more of it, AB. We want to see more opportunities for Tre Johnson to come off some set plays, some pin downs, elevator screens, whatever it may be for Tre Johnson. Instead, a lot of the opportunities we've seen for him are where he has the basketball and necessarily not even getting the opportunity to come off screens, but try to go create his own shot. And at times, he's been successful doing it, but at times he's struggled. And I think that's normal for a rookie player.
Yeah, and I think the lack of a pure point guard, Ben, that's one thing that we're always talking about is what's potentially holding back Tre Johnson. Not just Tre Johnson, a lot of the young guys like Alex Sarr, Kyshawn George, because you need someone that can be the foundation of this offense. And Tre Johnson, we saw in the Knicks game, I loved how we got to spot the pull-up jumper, one dribble. Those are things you like to see, but you really wonder if he had a guy that can get him the ball, if the elevator screens are ran through and plays, inbound plays, if those things happen within a game, he's probably averaging 15 to 20 points per game. And it's crazy, Ben, because I know a lot of Dallas Mavericks fans, they're already being skeptical of Cooper Flag. I saw on Reddit today some Mavs thread was about the average points per game, and they added ADs and Cooper Flags, and they compared to Luka's right now. So they're already starting to question, which it's too early. I think Cooper Flag is very talented. I know. But with Tre Johnson, I think we just have to be a little more patient, Ben. I think the reason being is when are we going to see him start? Once he starts and gets more touches with the ball, I think that's when we can fully say that we unleashed Tre Johnson during his rookie year. And I still expect him to make all-rookie first team. And one thing's for sure is that what we saw in Texas, obviously the NBA is a whole different level, but the game is going to translate. It's going to take some time. And we're hoping that once some of these vets are moved on from this roster, that opens up opportunities for Tre Johnson. And as long as I see a guy who's willing to take shots, who isn't afraid to shoot the ball, having a cold night, that's all that matters. At least you're going out there and shooting with confidence. And I think as a playmaker, that's what I want to see as well, Ben. Him being able to pass the ball. And we just saw Alex Sarr. He just had a career high in 7 assists against the New York Knicks. So we're hoping that Tre Johnson can also unleash that part of his game.
You know, I was kind of running through the data here, and field goals attempted stands out to me. Tre Johnson taking just over 10 shots per game. Some nights he's taken more than others. I want to see him amongst the top of the rookie class in field goals attempted, because you drafted this guy because of his ability to score the basketball. And I think that speaks to the conversation we're having here about finding a option for him that gets him open. I know you've had Kyshawn be this de facto point guard guy, and when he gets the basketball, they love to get him in pick and roll opportunities. I believe 55% of the possessions where Kyshawn George is the primary ball handler, they've given him a screen to work with. That was the data that I just pulled on NBA.com a little bit ago. And when Tre Johnson has the basketball, we're not seeing nearly the same amount of opportunities coming off a screen. And, you know, giving him primary ball opportunities isn't necessarily like his forte or his thing. I know they're trying to work him into it, trying to ease him into maybe some new skill sets part of his game. But look at the top of the rookie classes right now in terms of field goal attempted. VJ Edgecombe, who's been probably far and away the best rookie right now. He's playing 38 minutes per game, which is a crap ton. We saw that on full display. The Wizards kept him relatively quiet for a lot of the game, but he still got his opportunities, had a couple 4-point plays against us. Edgecombe's a really, really special player. He's taking 15 shots per game. Cooper Flagg taking 13. Jeremiah Fears getting 12 for New Orleans. Con Knipple. And this is a guy that, like, you kind of want to compare those two players, because you figure Tre Johnson and Con Knipple, those are the two best shooters, I think, that have come out of this draft class. And Con has really showed some fantastic ability to shoot the basketball from the outside so far. He's shooting 41% compared to Tre Johnson, around 37%. So not too bad from Tre Johnson in the opportunities. But I love the way Charlotte has played offense to get him opportunities. I mean, we saw it firsthand in Capital One Arena. LaMelo Ball, a guy that is just innate and really good with the basketball in his hands. He can break down a defense, he can penetrate, and then move the ball, force the defense to rotate, and eventually you get a guy like Con wide open for threes. The majority of threes Con Knipple has been making and had made against the Wizards team were wide open. We're not seeing the same thing yet for Tre Johnson. So, the point I've almost tried to make here is, despite these guys like George, Sarr, and Johnson facing a good amount of adversity, because of where the organization is right now. And, at times we know this is a developmental year and the team isn't really trying to lose its draft pick. And I think last night was a big example of that, where you're seeing a lot of guys who are not putting out productive minutes, and ultimately it hurts the opportunities out there, because we didn't see Tre Johnson for a lot of the game until it was pretty much garbage time. The game was over, and, no one's really playing in the set within that point. Everybody was kind of run and gunning in that fourth quarter, and nothing was flowing for them offensively. So I want to see the Wizards somehow make an effort offensively to make it move more like it does for Charlotte, where you get a guy like Tre Johnson more opportunities to be open. That's what I've been trying to really learn to dissect here as we go throughout the season, is see the other ways teams play offense and how the Wizards can try to emulate that and have some of their other guys progress and develop here. I mean, since we're not being serious about winning games, we got to see our guys continue to get better as the season goes on here, AB.
Let me ask you this, Ben. As of right now, November 6th, 2025, how many minutes a game do you want to see Tre Johnson play?
So Tre Johnson right now is playing just under 26. I'd like to see him play at least 30.
Yeah, I was going to agree with you, Ben. I think 30 is that you obviously ideally want him to play as many minutes as you can, but 30, I mean, again, you don't want to hold back this kid, because Rookie of the Year, it is what it is. It's an award at the end of the day, but development in a rookie season with a guy who can shoot the ball at will. And what I don't understand, Ben, or at least I'm trying to get a better understanding of, is the fact that this team plays fast. So when this team's playing fast, when you're pushing the ball up the court, that number one guy that you should look at when he's behind the three-point line is Tre Johnson, because he can let it fly. So I'm hoping to see more incorporation of that when it comes to fast pace, because if you can't play half-court offense, at least be up to speed when you're pushing the ball up tempo.
They're still playing so fast. Third in the NBA in pace after last night. They were second in pace before the game. They dropped the spot. So, no harm, no foul there. But yeah, I think you're right. There could be good opportunities for Johnson to be a guy that would feast in transition for this Wizards team if he got more opportunities to do so. We just haven't seen quite as many of those yet. So only three rookies right now, Edgecombe, Flag, and Knipple, are playing 30 minutes per game. Johnson is 6th on the list, as I mentioned, at 26. So yeah, I'd like to see him get to the 30-minute per game range and get him within that top three of these other rookie players, so you feel like you get a fair opportunity, a fair share. And we know things are going to change as the season goes on here for Tre Johnson. He's going to get more opportunities. CJ McCollum probably won't be on this team at some point in the season. Not sure when that'll be, but whenever that is the case, you'd imagine Tre Johnson's going to be the guy that slots in, takes those minutes, and does what he does with it. It's going to be fun to watch the second half of the season when the youth movement is really, really in full swing. I think that's where we're going to start to get a great look at how these guys continue to progress, Abdullah.
It's kind of going to remind me of how the second half of last season been, where you don't have Kyle Kuzma anymore, and then 24 hours later, Bilal Coulibaly gets his first career triple-double. We'll see small things like that will build up, and hopefully you can bring that into next year for this young squad.
100%. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, I want to talk about Kyshawn George and the development we've seen from him here in year number 2. Let's be real. No one starts a business for the joy of calculating tax withholdings or managing payroll spreadsheets. That's where Gusto comes in, to take the stress out of payroll, benefits, and HR so you can focus on running your business and supporting your team. Gusto is an all-in-one remote-friendly payroll and HR platform that makes managing your team simple, transparent, and fast. Whether you're hiring, onboarding, or paying employees, Gusto helps you do it all from one place without the hassle or hidden fees. Unlimited payroll runs for one monthly price, which means no surprise charges at the end of the month. Gusto's automated tools like offer letters, onboarding materials, and direct deposit save me hours every week. And knowing you can reach certified HR experts at any time gives you a real peace of mind. Try Gusto today at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA and get 3 months free when you run your first payroll. That's right, 3 months of free payroll at gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. One more time, that's gusto.com/LockedOnNBA. AB, Kyshawn George, you and I super high on him before the season. I think he's lived up to the billing and then some in terms of his development here. And year number 2 continues to impress us. A couple minor things we think he's going to get better at as the season goes on. But I'll start with you. What's impressed you the most about Kyshawn?
I think just how slow the game looks for him right now, Ben. And to be honest, if it wasn't for a Kyshawn George masterclass from Beyond the Arc against Dallas, this team might be winless as we speak. But that's not the case, thank God. But I think, like you mentioned, Ben, like he just looks like the game. He looks like a veteran out there. The way he moves, the pace that he moves at, that ability going inside, that dribble into the defender, create separation, mid-range jump shot is just a pure thing to watch. And I think defensively, he's already there. I love seeing him and Bilal out there defensively because we can just see the loose balls, the steals. Those things are things that we didn't see much of last year, and I was hoping to see that more of this year. And Kyshawn as a point guard, maybe that could be a thing. We always talk about that. Like you mentioned, he played point guard at the U, but wherever position he's at, I think he's going to excel at, Ben. And one thing that I do want to see him get better at is the fouls, the foul trouble early on in games. And I think that stems from the fact, Ben, that he's an aggressive defender. He wants to steal basketballs. He wants to poke the ball loose. But what comes aggressiveness also comes the ability to also get a lot of foul calls called on you. And I think that's maybe one thing that he can hopefully learn from. I know last night against the Celtics, Jaylen Brown was giving him some fits, but Jaylen Brown is a really good player in this league. And we're hoping that Kyshawn George can learn from it. But again, that foul trouble can really hurt the Wizards early on, especially because Kyshawn George is maybe this team's best scorer right now. And if he's not out there, then it's going to be hard for this team to have any form of movement offensively and defensively.
Yeah, the fact that he's gotten into foul trouble so many times, I'm glad you brought that up. It's so detrimental to what the team can do in terms of competitiveness when he gets into foul trouble. One, because, yeah, he's been one of your best scorers on this team this year, been one of your best playmakers as well, best all-around players because of what he brings to the table on the defensive side of the basketball as well. So when you don't have that guy on the floor, you're losing arguably your best player on both sides of the basketball. But the fact that we're having a conversation here in year number 2 where Kyshawn George, you're saying this guy right now is one of your best players on both sides of the basketball is a big testament to the development that we've seen from him with inside this organization. Because, yeah, when you get picked number 24th in the draft, like, you get a little bit overlooked. And not to say like they didn't have high expectations for a guy like Kyshawn George, but he went in a draft class where the Wizards picked Alex Sarr, number 2 overall, who we're going to get into in the third segment here. But in a way, he becomes kind of an afterthought from a fan perspective or from other guys saying, like, who is this guy? Because the big sell for him coming out of Miami was his ability to shoot the 3-ball. And we didn't see that as much early on in his rookie season. He kind of was slowly brought into the process. And, you know, we're seeing similar things from some of the other young guys on this Wizards team that were very slowly or have been very slowly brought along, like Will Riley. I know a lot of people in the building are super high on Will Riley, so we're going to see if maybe we see that second half where he kind of gets onto the scene here, breaks out a little bit, and gets some real adequate minutes. But for a guy in his per 36 right now, in Kyshawn George averaging around 12.5 points per game in the per 36, and the 3-point percentage is just through the roof for the guy shooting over 50% right now on the season, which is just unbelievable because he's taking a lot of attempts. And to see the efficiency that he has come away with here. And sorry, I read the stat there for the per 36 wrong, because a guy that's averaging 17 points per game right now is obviously would be much higher on the per 36. That was his projection that they put on Basketball Reference. So it goes to show you that he's exceeding the expectations that most had for him this year. He has really come along, and as I mentioned earlier, as a primary ball handler for this team, he's gotten a ton of opportunities to work out of the pick and roll with a guy like Alex Sarr or times when Marvin Bagley's out there, and he looks real comfortable. He looks real effective with the basketball. One thing you do want to see is him clean up the turnovers. That's been a bit of an issue for him. Had another 3 yesterday, and the past 4 games, he's had 3 or more in all of those games. So something that just becomes food for thought to clean up a little bit. Maybe the reason he's turning it over a little bit more than usual is because like he's in this new role where he's essentially become the de facto point guard for this team. So I think it's something that's going to get better as the season comes along here, but I'm just so impressed with the way he's matured as a player.
Yeah, last year, Ben, you brought up a good point. I was one of the guys saying that you should throw him in the Capital City Go-Go because we didn't see much of him in the first half of the season, but boy, was I wrong. There was talk about this offseason that he might be the best player of the 3, and we saw that practice where he hit a game winner during a scrimmage, little things like that, their national play. It really built up a great year for year 2 Kyshawn that we're hoping to see more of. But let me ask you this, Ben. When it comes back to turnovers, you mentioned Kyshawn had 3 last night. In total, the team, I think, had 20 against Boston. How much of that problem wouldn't be a factor if this team had a pure point guard?
I think it would help it a little bit, for sure. Just right now, turning the ball over 20 times and averaging around 18 of them per game, it's tough to overcome that against especially really good teams and teams that can score the ball well offensively. Boston, a team that we know can get out there and transition and shoot the 3-ball really well. They're a team that were not playing at a super fast pace prior to yesterday's game, but because the Wizards turned the ball over as much as they did, they were able to get out there and transition and shoot the 3-ball. And yeah, Boston's a team that shoots so many threes every night, but if you give them that many opportunities, that many cracks at it, they're eventually going to break through offensively, and that's exactly what happened yesterday. If you had that point guard on this team that could really get you over the hump in a way in terms of your offensive playmaking ability, I think it would make a slight difference. I mean, it comes back to the conversation where Wizards fans are saying, oh man, we had Rollins in the building, and now look what he's doing in Milwaukee. Who knows at this point with this organization, because we know they're not really prioritizing winning a lot of these games, because I saw some of the comments saying in AB saying that Philadelphia game in the third quarter where they're going crazy, the front office maybe started to sweat a little bit saying this team is going to compete too much. If we don't go in there and sacrifice some of the minutes and some of the development for these young guys at times, they might actually be too good and lose their first round pick. And we know the organization doesn't have interest in doing that, so it becomes this like double-edged sword. Like, it's frustrating as a fan. It's frustrating for the players as well. Like, I'd have to imagine for a lot of these players who aren't getting some of the opportunities, like Justin Champagnie, a guy that is playing just winning basketball when he's out there, and he's not getting the opportunity to be out there as much as some of the other guys because he's playing too well. I don't know.
Yeah, you think that if you play well, you'd get more minutes, but as of right now, the games that we've seen, kind of the opposite. But we understand the whole idea of keeping that top 8 pick. It is what it is. We're dealt with what we are dealt, and we're hoping that next year we don't have this conversation anymore where it's justifying losing. But going back to Keyshawn, Ben, I love the man. I love the way he plays the game, and I think he's an all-star waiting to happen. Maybe give it a year or two once his team starts being competitive and starts winning. We will just have to see. But I can't wait. I know it's after a break, but Alex Sarr, year 2, Ben. I love it.
Yeah, there's one more Kyshawn George stat that I wanted to bring up here in just a second. I'm trying to pull it up here. So on catch and shoot 3 opportunities, Kyshawn George is shooting 58% this year. And then he's shooting around 43.5% on pull-up 3 opportunities. His ability as a catch and shoot guy, like, have you seen him miss from the left corner when he's gotten open there? I got to go and look at his shot chart, but if he's been open in that left corner for a catch and shoot opportunity, it seems like he consistently knocks that shot down. And the fact that we've had to see him be this primary ball handler maybe in a way holds him back for getting some of those opportunities we want to see him be as a shooter. Kyshawn George has been really good as a guy with the ball in his hands because we've seen him improve with the ability to get downhill, also create for others. But maybe if you took some of the load off him in a way and didn't have as much of an expectation on him to kind of run the offense at times, maybe you see even greater scoring outputs for the guy because we want to see this guy be an alpha out there. Some nights where he gets into foul trouble, you don't get to see the same Kyshawn George where he plays with that alpha mentality, where he's out there shooting the hell out of the basketball. The Philadelphia game, he took 17 shots, but then he only took 8 the next day against Oklahoma City. And he only took 9 last night against Boston and made 3 of them. You want to see Kyshawn shooting plenty of shots for this team and showcasing the ability he has because we know he can be great here.
Put him in the 3-point contest, NBA. I want to see it.
It might be a lot of fun to actually see a guy like Kyshawn in there. I wonder if he'd be wanting to do it. Who knows? We'll see. All right, let's take a quick break. When we come back, let's talk about Alex Sarr. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game more exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Another 30-point performance yesterday for Alex Sarr. Some of it came in garbage time, but who cares at that point? We needed something to be happy about yesterday. I love the way this guy is playing right now. He's playing like a winner. He's getting better at almost every single thing from his rookie season. AB, I know you posted on our YouTube posting a comparison of some of the data from year 1 to year 2 on how Alex Sarr has progressed. And some of these numbers here are absolutely staggering in a way compared to a lot of the year 2 guys as well. It's just insane. He's increased 6 points per game so far, 8 games in here, almost 2 rebounds, assist and a half. He's raised his block total almost up a whole block per game. His field goal percentage up by almost 15%, 3-point percentage up by almost 15%. The kid is ascending in almost every realm and sense that there is in terms of a basketball player, and he's doing it really well compared to the second-year guys as well, AB. I have some more data on that I'll get into in a minute.
You know, also what went through the roof, Ben, his shot IQ. He didn't take a 3 until a couple games in the season, and that's one thing that he put into words media day, and he's doing it. He's taking better shots in the paint. That turnaround fadeaway, Ben, I mean, it kind of reminds me of a little Dirk in him. His ability to take those shots within the paint, you love to see it. Not taking too many three-pointers. A guy that's just not going to settle from beyond the three-point line, takes it inside, the patience in the paint when he has a younger guy on him, pump fakes, then dunks it. Small things like that is why I'm so happy from this French kid who a lot of people were just saying writing him off after a couple of games. I mean, this offseason, he wasn't even a top 10 pick in a redraft via The Athletic. And he heard the noise, and a lot of people were concerned about his play with the French team this past summer. I said, give it some time. He broke a summer league record with blocks a couple months ago, and now you're seeing him come into fruition this regular season. And he's doing this against really good competition. Joel Embiid and Anthony Davis. He knows what he's doing out there, and he's only going to get better. And the whole idea of him being a top 5, top 7, top 10 center in this league, I don't think it's crazy. Many people are going to call me crazy for it. I saw a comment on a previous post. But you see the stats. He's putting up really good numbers, and he's only going to get better.
Big shout out to our pal Greg Finberg who dug this up. So I'm going to steal it from his Twitter real quick because it ties exactly into what we're talking about here. How Alex Sarr ranks amongst the entire 2024 draft class, minimum 5 games played. Points per game at 19, he's second. Rebounds per game, 8.5, he's second. Assists per game at 4, he's 5th. Blocks per game, 2.3, he's number 1. Field goal percentage at 54, that's good for 4th, and 3-point percentage at 45.5, 5th. This is a guy that in a redraft this summer didn't even go in the top 10, and I think he's quieted a lot of the noise, as you said, surrounding him because this guy's 20. He's 20 years old, AB. He put on 11 pounds of muscle this offseason. It seems like that's made a big difference because he looks like he has a lot more physicality. He looks like he has a lot more courage. When he gets into the basket, he takes it into the chest of the defense, goes up strong, fights for those offensive rebounds. Like that one play he had the other night where he went up and he grabbed an offensive board fighting through 2 Boston defenders, went up and got it, and then put it back with a dunk. Like Alex Sarr did not move that way in his rookie season. He has a completely different offensive mentality, which is just so refreshing, so amazing to see. And you start to wonder, like, what are the possibilities for this guy? If he's playing this way right now as a 20-year-old, just imagine what he'll look like 2 to 3 years from now. Continues to put on muscle by putting in the work in the weight room, continues to get more comfortable around the rim. He works on that three-point shot even more. That's improved here in year number 2. He's got the makings to be a super special player in this league, and for this Wizards team can really help them in a big way get to where they want to go. There's so many great things we've seen from him here in year number 2, and it's just about sustaining it now. You're 10% of the way through the year. Let's see you keep up this pace if you're Alex Sarr. Like, this is a really encouraging start, but don't take your foot off the gas. And if you're the organization, don't let him take his foot off the gas. Have him keep going, keep pushing to get better every single night.
And I understand it's early, Ben, and I'm hoping that he plays better throughout the season. But right now, if you compare his rookie stats to this year's stats, there is a possibility where he is in conversation for most improved player. And I don't think that's crazy. So we're hoping to see a more and better Alex Sarr and just learn. There's a lot of losses that you're going to be dealt with, but we're hoping that Alex Sarr is going to be the bright spots of these losses.
Yeah, early most improved player. And as much as it's going to pain people to hear it, it's probably going to be Danny Avdija.
Oh, God. Yeah. Oh, yeah. They just gave the Thunder their first loss of the year, and Denny was a big part of it. So I already see a lot of Wizards fans saying, Bub for Denny, Bub for Denny, Bub for Denny. What was that?
Yeah, that always it gets people riled up to say, but I'm not here to talk about the trade or anything like that. That's just I'm happy for Denny though. I love to see Turbo out there balling. But Alex Sarr, man, most improved player conversation. Who knows? We'll see if he can continue the pace he's put it up here. Is there anything else that's really stuck out to you about the youth and some of these guys out here, AB, through the first 8 games?
Yeah, we talked about Kyshawn, we talked about Alex Sarr, but the last guy of the 3, Ben, Bub Carrington. When are we going to see this guy blossom into year 2? Last season, played all 82 games, ended off on a high note with the game winner against the Miami Heat. It just hasn't been the same. The confidence isn't there, and when he's on the court offensively, it just doesn't look like he knows what he's trying to do. And how much of that is on the coaching staff putting him in a tough position? How much of that is Bub Carrington just not being able to play the point guard role? Because we all know he's a combo guard. Last year, Bub Carrington had a career high of 34 points against Orlando Magic, and now it's a lot of inefficiency. We just have to see, Ben. I want this guy to have a role here in D.C. because I just hate how fans are already turning their backs on him.
Yeah, I'm not like worried about people who have turned their backs on Bub or are so angry at him right now and think that there's no future with this guy. Like he's 20 years old. He's very, very young, very raw still, working out the kinks, trying to figure out a new position. It's way too early to press a panic button and say Bub Carrington is like a bust or anything like that. You got to give him a lot more time, and maybe playing off the bench here as the season goes on is going to give him an opportunity to really sit back, reflect, and learn some things. But you're right, though. We can't sugarcoat because he has not been very good to start the season. But that doesn't mean he's going to eventually blossom back into the player we expected to see here in year number 2 after he had a really good final stretch of the season and closed things out. I think we can see that level from Bub Carrington again. It's just going to be a matter of when and what leads to that happening. You can't give up on the guy just yet. If you're a Wizards fan and you want to give up on Bub Carrington, I'm not going to join that party with you. So go celebrate that somewhere else.
It's crazy. Last year, the man made Tyrese Halliburton touch earth. They're just small things that he did as a rookie that's like, you're telling me you're giving up on him on year 2? Like, that's just absurd. But I'm honestly not surprised. Some of these Wizards fans, they're very, very interesting.
Yeah, well, people expect results. I know people don't like the fact that they're going to lose 60 games this year, and it's understandable. It's tough to lose, and as a fan, it's tough to see because in a way, the organization has sacrificed small increments of development they could have in being competitive in order to keep a draft pick for next year. The organization thinks that's more important in terms of the future of this organization, and you can make an argument on both sides, but I agree with the organization that keeping a top 8 protected pick is very important given the state of the organization right now. So with that being said, it's frustrating. It's tough to deal with, but we're going to have to find the little things, the little just night in, night out differences from some of these guys, how they progress week to week, game to game as the season goes on, month to month, because things can change very quickly in the NBA, and sometimes you might just be surprised on who emerges and what becomes of these players. And the Wizards organization, they have a very longly tenured plan for what they're trying to do here. Will Dawkins in the front office, everything's being done with the goal of being a perennial contender years down the road.
No shortcuts.
They want all these players to be in their primes 5 or 6 years into their career. They're going to give them plenty of time to develop. Bilal Coulibaly, when Will Dawkins was on the Junkies yesterday, he said he's still about 3 or 4 years from hitting his prime. So with that being said, you just think about how much patience the organization is going to have with these guys. So a guy like Bub Carrington, they're going to have a lot of patience with him. He was drafted by this organization in the first round. They traded away a good player to get him. They're going to give him time to develop and figure out what he's all about. That's what this organization is trying to do right now.
Yeah. P-word patience. I know it's hard for Wizards fans to hear because we've been through so many years of mediocrity and just not being able to compete. But now it truly is different, and we're hoping that these fans realize it sooner rather than later.
Absolutely. All right, Wizards will be back in action for the NBA Cup tomorrow against the Cleveland Cavaliers. We're going to see that nice, sexy court here in D.C. AB will be in person for that one. A back-to-back upcoming here for the Wizards before you get the Mavericks on Saturday, a team that the Wizards beat, the only team the Wizards beat. So who knows? If you
the Mavs are in shambles too, Ben.
If you get another sweep over Western Conference team like you did Denver last year, that'd be pretty cool. It'd be pretty cool to get a sweep against the Rookie of the Year. Give them a little payback for getting that first overall pick when they didn't deserve it, right?
100%.
All right, well, that'll do it for us here on Locked On Wizards today. Be sure to keep up with our coverage tomorrow as we are there for Wizards Cavaliers. Let's hope we can finally win an NBA Cup game at some point this year. How about that, AB?
Yeah, I mean, at some point you got to win one. Just one.
Yeah. Maybe this year will be the year. Hopefully that's the case. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. For your second, check out the Locked On NBA Fantasy Basketball podcast, where Josh Lloyd hosts the best fantasy basketball show there is. He'll get your lineup right as we move forward. For my co-host, Abdullah Ayubi, I'm Ben Strober, DC family. We're out of here.